Hello, dear viewer, dear listener. My name is Mumpulu Kilurumo Mohobe, the host of this wonderful show of ours, Mohobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. I have a great and wonderful guest today. As you know, we always want to bring you powerful, impactful content. We're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about 7 essential money skills and also 3 bonus points. And all this courtesy of my good friend, long-term friend, Mr. Nelson Letsweni, who's also a member of our mastermind group. Thank you and welcome to the show.
Well, great. Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
I'd like you, before we get into the meat of the matter, just to tell the viewer who you are and what is your area of expertise.
Okay, my name is Nelson Letsweni. As my friend has said, I am a financial planner. And in financial planning, we basically cover a lot of areas that is way beyond just financial advisory. So there's tax planning, there's estate planning, there's retirement planning, there's investment planning. So that whole gamut of that world. And so I've spent many years as well. I've written a number of books, about 10 books actually. Mm-hmm. And I've been involved a lot in financial literacy. As a business. So I've written for Botswana Guardian for 11 years. I've done some work on Gap 7 for 6 years. Currently doing some work with RB2. This is our 4th year on radio on those issues. Yes.
Thank you very much for joining us and talking about the books you've written. One of them is 7 Essential Money Skills. Can you tell us what was the influence or what was the impetus for that book? So before we delve into those 7 essential money skills,
okay.
And obviously the 3 bonus points as well.
Yes, so the 7 essential money skill. You know, when you are a writer and you come up, you come across ideas. Mm-hmm. You know, it was actually an idea that I found in a book called 1 Minute Millionaire, and it was just one paragraph where he listed the 7.
This is Blanchard and
yes, no, not Blanchard. Anyway, one of those authors that I'm sure you and
I think it's Jack Canfield and somebody Blanchard, if I'm not mistaken.
1 Minute Millionaire. Anyway, it was just a paragraph, and it intrigued me enough to figure out maybe there's more to just going past them. And through research and spending some time looking at those, that's how the book was pretty much born. And by the time it was born, I'd already written other books on the money field and all of that stuff, but this was a book specifically focusing on what skills does a person need to be able to
number 1,
work with their money.
Going right into the meat of it. Earn your keep. Speak to that and help the listener understand earn your keep. What's the thinking and impetus behind that?
You know, the first thing when you want to deal with money is earning. You know, there's a Bible verse, and I know you do like Bible as well. There's a Bible verse that says, if a man will not work, he must not eat.
I think it came from St. Paul.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's in the book of Thessalonians or something. So the idea that people want to work with money, but the first step is always you need to earn it. And so when I say earning is a skill, we're talking about 7 essential money skills. So the ability to earn money is a skill in itself. Some people are not able to earn money because they don't have the right skills that will earn them money. And that is why we pretty much send people to school and to go learn a particular skill. And with that skill, you say, I have the skill, I can go look for a job. But the skill is deeper than just what you have because you went to university or college or got something like that. The skills that you need or that you have to be able to make money has to do as well with other things that you may not have gone to school for. Sometimes you are skilled because you are experienced. Maybe you are skilled because you are talented.
It's your specialty, really.
Yes, exactly. It's the very thing that you are going to trade money for. But it's basically based on your skills. It's maybe a selling skill, the ability to sell, maybe a speaking skill, it may be a hands-based skills where you're going to do something with your hands. But in a nutshell, you can either acquire it through formal education or you could develop the talents that you already have. But it's a first step
Number two, you talk of the special money skill of saving. Cultivate the skill of saving. Is it simply just a matter of piling money in the bank?
No. It's you see, when we talk about the skill, we talk about the habit. You know, cultivate a habit. It's not so much about piling money in the bank, because you know it's gonna rot. You're not gonna make money by keeping it in there. But is the ingrained part of you that says, whatever I make, I need to keep some for myself. So it's a whole idea where they say,
Sort of pay yourself first.
excuse me, yes. Yes, it is the pay yourself first principle. Is I make money, and most people make money and they spend it. And so if you want to be able to be skilled in dealing with money, they say it doesn't matter how much money you make, it matters how much you keep. And it's about the keeping principle that is very, very important for you. So you don't just save because you think you're gonna get rich through saving. Actually, hardly anybody gets rich through saving.
You say the objective is to cultivate the skill of frugality.
Exactly.
Maybe you can explain what that is.
Yes. So cultivating the skill of saving, or the habit that will be able to allow you. You know, frugality is a very, very important aspect when you deal with money, because it allows you to put certain things in place to say, if I earn something, I'm just not gonna spend it all. Okay, I'm gonna keep. You know, when I like using how we do things in Setswana or most African cultures is, you go to the fields, you plow, but when you harvest, you don't eat the entire harvest. You save the seed for the next plowing season, and you take that seed. You know, in Setswana, you put some ash in it, you preserve it, that it doesn't get chowed by bugs and whatever. So that preservation system, it ensures your survivability for the future. And so when you have that habit of saving, you are in a way you are in the first step of trying to.
What do you say to those who say if you are frugal, you are actually a miser, or ungame in Setswana?
I always say, it's a person who's trying to chow your money. Okay.
Why do you say that?
Because nobody's gonna meet you in the street and say ungame. They would say that word, you are stingy, because they want something from you, and you probably said no, because you have other ideas about what you want to do with that money. So if you have no ideas and you are afraid of what people say, you'll always be giving your money away to people that don't even deserve it. And so to me, the important thing is, frugality is important, and horobiduangame is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just the idea that I have purpose for my money.
One of the things you say a lot is invest for growth, and that's the next point. But what I've heard you say over the years is that people often say money doesn't grow on trees, but you argue that money does grow on trees.
Absolutely,
which is counterintuitive.
Yes.
Can you explain what you mean by money growing on trees?
Okay, so if you have a mango tree, the seed of that mango tree was a mango seed, right?
Yeah.
And so if you want money, you have to ask yourself, what is the seed? So when we say money grows on trees, you know, we're talking about systems that are able to grow money. And so if you plant those systems, then you'll be able to pluck money off of those trees. So the saying that money doesn't grow on trees is basically an old saying to say money is scarce. But it's scarce to those who, you know, like mangoes are scarce, so people who don't have mango trees. But someone with a mango trees, mango are not scarce. So in the same way, money won't be scarce if you have the trees. And now we get into those trees that are able to do this. So the systems like the stock market or real estate or business. Or
so you think of real estate as a form of tree, or as a series of trees, or what?
It is a tree, because off of that, what fruit do you get? As you collect rentals off of that. That's the fruit of the that you planted. You know, and on the stock market you'll get dividends, and if you get maybe in bonds you get interest. So when we look at all those things, money grows on trees if you will plant the trees. And if you don't plant the trees, you could say it doesn't grow on trees because you don't have the trees, basically.
And you say also that investing is a key to growth, right?
Absolutely, and that is why we talk about investment systems. So when we talk about investing for growth, first of all, you won't invest unless you have saved something. Whose money would you invest? That's why these skills follow each other. You first make it, you earn it, through your skills, and when you have it, you save it, and from your savings, you are able to say, now I can plant it into these different systems. And it is that process of planting that allows you to have the trees, to be able to pluck fruit off.
Yeah, because one of the things you mentioned is commodities. I've always wondered what commodities are and how that tree works.
Okay.
You take a moment to explain.
Yeah, look, right now when you look at the markets are depressed.
Mm-hmm.
But who's doing the best? Gold.
Mm-hmm.
Gold is now $1,623 last time I checked, yesterday, an ounce of gold.
Mm-hmm.
But before the coronavirus and all the troubles of the world, when the world was relaxed.
Oh, the world is always in trouble, but they just change and shape and form.
And stuff. But when markets get jittery and they're afraid, they run to gold. Because gold has sustained a 300-year economy. Economies have come and they have gone, they've come. Gold is not just, it's one of the, so it's one of those commodities that you could invest in. Now there's silver and there's copper and
if time allows, in the end I'll ask you about cryptocurrencies, but let's move on. Number 4, building value.
Yes.
Can you just break that down and unpack that for us?
Okay. When you build value, they say it doesn't matter how much you grow your money. Okay, it matters how much value you can keep. So the process of working with money, it's exactly that. It's a process. Most people make it. Some make a lot of it, and it ends there. They made it, they chowed it, and that's the end of the story. But there are those who would make it and save it, and some stop there. They save it and then they live like paupers even though they have money. That's wrong. The next step, you make it, you save it, you invest it. And the investment, when you think about the stock market, for example, it is such a volatile thing. It is not a place where you're going to build value. It is a place where you're going to harvest profits.
Doesn't it work well for Mr. Buffett and others like him?
Yes, but you see, he doesn't just put it on the stock market. He owns the businesses that he invests in.
Yes.
You understand? So Hathaway, Berkshire Hathaway, it's got other things. So he
owns the businesses.
Exactly.
The stock market seems to be incidental.
It's incidental to, because he holds the shares that hold the business. So the value is not on the stock market. The value is in the businesses that he owns, whose shares he is owner
of. As well
of.
as some of the assets such as real estate,
Exactly.
machinery and whatnot.
Exactly.
So the value is a lot more than what you see in the ticker.
Exactly. So building value is about, I have, how money, the currencies fluctuate as well.
Yes.
So the value of cash itself. So if I saved it, and they say the US dollar has lost almost 50% of its value since about 50 years ago. So it's not. So if I had kept bulks of US dollars, I would be 50% poorer today than if I had taken it and put it in, say, real estate, which went up in value, or bought a business that grew in value. So when you think about value, you think about what is the thing that not only keeps value, not only keeps my money, but it can also grow the value of the money. So now it requires that entrepreneurial mindset as well. Not just an investor, but an investor who's also an entrepreneur, just like our good friend that you just mentioned,
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett, yes. So that's basically to grow
Speak
value.
to an average Motswana. How do I start building value? I mean, in the circumstances of our economy and in this context of Southern Africa.
Yes.
I want you to spend a bit more time on the value thing as we move on to the other, before we move on to the next one.
One of the things that I normally teach is it's a concept called the money field. And the money field has got 4 quadrants. It's got the income quadrant, the expense quadrant, the liabilities quadrant, and the asset quadrant. So income quadrant is where you make your money, but your asset quadrant is where you start building value. The other 2 take money away from you. The expense quadrant takes money away. The liabilities quadrant takes money away from you because you're going to pay interest for that money. But the only quadrant that really helps you is your assets. So you say, talk to a normal African, how do you build assets? It is the things, regardless of how small they may be, that you know that even if I borrowed money to buy this thing, when I finish paying this loan, the value would be slightly higher. So land would be one of those things that you say, if I bought this plot of land, for whatever money, when I finish paying this loan, this value of this will be better. So, so there's so much things that it doesn't have to be a huge triple-story building, but you start wherever you are, and you think about the things that will grow in value. Maybe it's just a business, but this business I can start it with $10,000, and if it does grow and customers see value in it, it can grow to $1 million.
Okay.
So
let's talk about keeping controls in place. I think it's very important to have systems and controls in place.
Absolutely.
How is that important in terms of a money skill?
Okay, we can go back to the chain. You make it, you save it, you invest it, you build value around it, but then you need to put systems of control. Otherwise, you're going to lose it. You've seen people who are wealthy, and one day they wake up, they are poor. Because they just didn't, otherwise, so controls, there's two systems, there's two ways to think about controls. The first way is the physical controls. So that's where we bring in accounting. We say accounting leads to accountability. When you can account for your things, when you can account and say, I bought so much groceries, as we can go as little, as minute as that. I bought so much groceries. How come they disappeared within 1 week? What happened? Let's account. Who drank all the milk? Who drank all, who took all of that? And those basically the way you need to think about it is things that keep control. And when I talk to employees, I always remind them that you may be an employee working here, but your employer, themselves, they're not going to let you take their car and just go wherever you want. They give you a logbook, and they know from here to where you're going is 10 kilometers. So that keeping controls in place, that allows you to control what's going on. And even if you are not there, I was having a meeting earlier on before I came here with somebody who wants to start a business. And I was saying, and we are sitting in a restaurant, and I'm saying, look at this restaurant. The owners are not here, but they have systems in place. So when that waiter, when you order something, the waiter can't just go tell the chef, cook it. He's had to punch it into the system, and the chef looks at that, it prints on the other side, and then he already knows. If you say, I want an omelette, there's a formula already. There's 3 eggs that you're gonna put, or 2 eggs. And so the stock that's there is controlled. So if you know that you left 100 eggs and you sold 2 omelettes, you only used 4 eggs. The remainder must. So those are controls. So people with controls don't even have to be there.
But you take it further, you talk also about emotional controls.
Absolutely, that's the second part.
Yes.
The second part is most people make money and they get so emotionally involved with it, and then they spend it because.
Why do you think they get emotional with money?
Because money is very emotive in itself. I always tell people
there's energy.
There's 2 emotions. There's the I have money emotion, and there's I have no money emotion. Okay. When people have no money, they're depressed. They can start asking for loans. Or they will do self-destructive things if they allow their emotions to say, I don't have money. But there is the I have money emotion, and that is, hey, I'm here, I got the money. And some people want to show off, so they still spend it. So, and some people want to make sure that they give it direction. So when your emotions are out of control, then you have no control, you have no direction. So emotional control is your ability to give direction to your money, to your resources, and really be the manager and the
Number
steward.
6, protect your wealth. You're not just talking about insurance, are you?
No, we're not just talking about insurance. Obviously, there's physical protection, but insurance is a major part of it as well. Because you see, protection goes to the fact that if something disastrous happens, I don't want all those 7 steps to have, 6 steps so far, or 5 to have been lost. You know what I mean? So I did work, I did save, I did invest, I did build value. It needs to stay protected. Yes, I put controls in place. So insurance is a major part of wealth building. And so you'll be able to know that I have so much value and I'm paying so much insurance should something happen. But it also goes to legal protections. when you get into business, we'll ask, are you sole trader or are you incorporating? Obviously, when you incorporate, now you are using the legal system on your favor. You are creating another legal person that can be separate from you. And that person will outlive you. A corporation will outlive you. And that is one way to be able to protect your wealth. We always talk about wealth transfer. Sometimes as Africans, it's hard to do.
What about wills and so on?
Yeah, wills is part of it, but wealth transfer in the sense that it's easier if wealth is held in a corporation than if it's held in my name. Okay, but if they were held by another person, a legal person, then that person would remain
a corporate
entity. So the ability to use corporations, the ability to use insurance, that's another skill of money skill that you need to be able to make sure that you understand.
We're coming to the last one, which is share with your loved ones.
Yes.
What does that mean? It means taking them on holidays or taking the children to school or what?
Well, that too. Look, it doesn't matter how much you have if you don't have anybody to enjoy it with, then it's really not worth it.
But call it a skill.
Yeah, it's a skill because you see, watch all the philanthropists of the world. They made their money first. You go to the Bible, you find that Good Samaritan. He wasn't broke.
No, that's why he was able to
That's
save.
why, exactly. So all these steps build you. So sometimes we too early. You scatter too early. Don't scatter too early. Just like when you plant a tree, you don't immediately want fruit off of it.
No.
You're gonna have to water it and water maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years before you can say, everybody come, let's get some fruit. It's the same thing. You are going to share it, but don't share your first salary or your first year's income immediately with everybody you claim to love. Build these things, follow these money skills, build. And then when you have it, when you are an entrepreneur who's got a philanthropic systems in place, even if they sleep under the tree and it keeps going. So it's a skill to be able to know how to share your money. It's one of those important
You've added
skills.
3 bonuses. We just covered those 7 powerful money skills.
Yes.
And thank you so much for covering them so articulately. But let's talk about the bonuses.
Yes.
The first one is don't forget about retirement.
Yes. Don't forget about retirement, because sometimes we think of retirement as a day when I'm going to be lazy. That day doesn't exist. You're lazy when you're in the grave. Well, I don't know if you're lazy. But okay. But retirement is a time when you have made a decision, I don't want to trade any more hours for cash anymore. Okay. But while you are still young and you are able to trade hours for cash, trade as much as you can. Keep some aside so that when that day decides, you know what, I don't want to go to work anymore. You won't become a pauper or a beggar on that very day. So retirement is a system that allows you to put money aside for the day when you're going to tell your boss you are fired. Okay, but you can't fire your boss when you don't have that little bag on the side.
What do you say to those like me who don't particularly believe in retirement in the classic sense of stopping to work?
But that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm not talking about it in the classic sense. But you have the freedom, if you have that money, to say, I can fire my boss. When you do have the money that you have set aside, you are free to say, there are people who have no such freedom. Even when you are really sick and you really feel today I should be in bed, you don't have the freedom to be in bed, because if you don't go, you don't get paid. And if you don't get paid, you will not eat.
You don't eat, like Paul said.
Like Paul said. So what we are saying is, retirement is not so much about now you don't work anymore. Even retired people still have to do some work. Okay? But then you've seen a lot of, if we take example from the rich people that we normally look at, philanthropists, they have more choice. They have the money and they can go do philanthropy.
Your other important money advice is that don't give in to envy and jealousy. What has that got to do with money skills?
Some people, one of the things that we deal with in almost every country is corruption. But corruption, in my opinion, is born of people being jealous of what others have. But you do not know why God gave a person what they gave them. There's no point you envying them. Because you see, money can be a burden. God can give you so much money and give you a job to do with that money. And then I don't even have any assignment from God, but I want your money. There's no point in doing that. So what we're saying is, if you check your heart and make sure that you know, there's a parable in the Bible that talks about the parable of the talents. Not all of them were given the same way.
Yeah.
That's according to their abilities, and they went in. Now, if the first one who got one was jealous of the other guy, he wouldn't have done, you know,
anything.
You understand? And so you have your capabilities and your skills. You need to be able to use what you have with contentment, with gratitude. Because when you are jealous and envious, gratitude is not there, which is a very, very important ingredient to building wealth. Gratitude determines your attitude, that, as they say, will determine your altitude.
Wow, that's powerful. The last point that you and I are going to spend time in, you say, don't criticize, condemn, or judge.
Yes. You know, criticism, condemnation, and judgment is a pitfall of a lot of us who look at situations around, and instead of trying to build, you know, the spirit of criticism, before it hits another person, it hits you first. Okay, and so to present,
you direct it to several people, it hits you several times.
Several times, because wherever it goes, it comes back. You know, you know the cycle of karma. What you take out comes back to you as well. So the more criticisms and judgment you have, you become toxic. At the end, nobody wants to do business with you. Nobody wants to be with you, because a critical, judgmental, condemning person is a toxic person. And at the end of the day, there's nobody who wants to be with you. So those are some of the things that you just avoid from the personal self.
How does that affect your money skills or your ability to be successful in terms of those money skills? If
nobody wants to be in business with you, then obviously you are affected, because building money or working with money, you're gonna have to include other people. There's no way you can do it alone.
And work cooperatively
with other people. But if you're always criticizing, always judgmental, always condemning other people, then you are poison. And nobody wants to hang around poison. And it's gonna poison the whole system. You and I, I'm sure, you know, off the records, can talk about people.
Until the cows come home, we can talk about that.
About people who we have seen over time destroy themselves by destroying relationships around them.
Yes.
You know, at the end of the day, they are cornered, and nobody wants to work. It's like that bully in the schoolyard that no child wants to play with them anymore. And so that's basically why that is very important.
Mr. Nelson Letsweni, we've come to the end of our time together, but as we do that, I'd like you to look at the camera and tell our audience how they can access you and what services you can make available to them.
Okay, I'm the CEO of Moedi Financial Training, and we do financial planning and we do financial education, but I have lots of books as well that we have written. One of those that this talk is based on, it's called 7 Essential Money Skills, and you can join me on Facebook. My Facebook page is Money Skills with Nelson Letsweni. Money Skills with Nelson Letsweni is our Facebook page, and you can also contact us on our office line is 390
on Instagram and
5335. I have those platforms. Don't use them as much. And we'll continue to use that on Twitter. It's Nelson Letsweni or N Letsweni. I got those two accounts, and they're as well. So
all right, just a special favor. I want you to look at the audience again, at the listener, and invite them to subscribe to Mokgobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. Please, a special request from a friend.
Okay, look, you have listened to these great things. You've listened to many great speakers. So I would say, look at that video that you've looked at and subscribe. There's a little subscribe word, I think, on the right side of that video, of the video you're looking at. Click subscribe and click that little bell so that every time there is a video, you are informed about that video as well. And you're going to continue to learn a whole lot more.
Thank you for taking the time out of your extremely busy schedule to be with us.
Great.
It's a great interview. I really enjoyed it.